Hey guys, it's Erica. So we are going to learn how to pull some handles today. I know it's not everybody's favorite part of the process, but it is necessary in order to have a mug. So we are going to learn how to do this, and I'm going to give you guys a few of the tips and tricks I have learned along the way from other people and just from my own experience, and we're just going to get into it. So what we're going to do first is we're going to weigh each clump. I don't know if this is necessary, but it's something that I do, and it helps just to make sure I have consistent, even handles. So I'm doing about a quarter pound for each one, and I just do that for all of them, and I get them all ready to go. And these have all been wedged and everything, so they're nice and even throughout. And then here I'm going to just tap it down on my workbench, and it just kind of shapes it to where it gets it. I don't know the shape exactly. It's a little fatter on the top and a little bit skinnier, as you can see here. And then I'm just going to kind of squeeze it to get it more round, because if you start out with the square, it's a little harder to get it from square to not square. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know. It's something that helps. And then I'm going to lay down the sheet on top of the wood, because if I don't, my handles will dry out way too fast, and I don't actually handle my mugs the same day that I pull my handles. So I pull my handles one day, and then I will usually attach them the next. And so I just dip it in the water, and we're going to start with this, I think it's like a U pull or something like that. So your index finger and your thumb like almost come together. Mine do, because my hands are really small. And you just pull it down, not too tight. You're not trying to like really, you don't want to rip the clay off. So you want to be gentle and just let the water do its job. And then we also do a thumb pull and a scissor pull. So a thumb pull, you're just going to take your thumb right down like that. And a scissor pull, you're just going to make little scissors, and you're just going to start at the top and go right down. And so the U pull is going to tighten it up to where it's not super wide. The scissor pull is going to thin it out so it's not super thick. And then the thumb pull just gives you a really nice indent to put your thumb when you're holding the mug. And it's just kind of one of those aesthetics that are nice. And then I always like take that bit off at the bottom if it gets too thick, because it might end up ripping that part off. So once I've gotten to the thickness and everything that I'm happy with, I go ahead and we're gonna wrap these up in the plastic, and we're gonna attach the next day. So after my mugs have been trimmed, they're all ready to go. They're leather hard, not too wet or anything like that to where they're gonna warp as soon as I touch them, and they're perfect. So what I start out by doing, and don't ask me why I do this because it makes no sense, I'm gonna clean up the handle, but I don't know why I do that, because I'm gonna touch it 2 seconds later, as you see, and I've just added all those fingerprints back. So it's one of those things I do, and I don't know why I do. So we're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna cut off that really large bit that was our kind of handle while we were pulling them. And I just use my thumb to flatten it out so that it's not a really thick join. And then this cookie cutter is a really neat little trick to get a nice rounded top and bottom. I use it on the bottom as well. And it just makes it really uniform, and it just looks really nice. So I use that, and then I'm going to flatten it a little bit more so that we don't have a super thick join that takes too long to dry. And then you've got cracking issues, which are the bane of every potter's existence, honestly. So and then we're going to hold it up against the mug, and we're just going to kind of get an idea for how long we want. We're going to trim off that bottom part, and we're going to hold it up one more time to just double check, and then we're going to mark kind of where we want it and everything. And then I'm going to do the same trick I did on the top part of the handle, and we're just going to flatten it out and then use that cookie cutter again to get that really nice rounded edge. So yeah, it looks really good, and I like how it ends up finishing up really nicely as well. So that's a nice little trick that's fun to use. And then we're going to do the process of slipping and scoring. So I use a needle tool for my slipping and scoring, and then sometimes I use the rib that has the teeth on it too. I don't know why I go back and forth. I'm not sure. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to score, and then I'm going to add some just water. I just use water. Some people use vinegar, magic water. I've even heard stories of people using their own urine. Do with that what you will. I'm not a fan, but it's not my business. So I just use water. So we're going to do that process on both of the mug and the handle. And then we're going to just kind of tack it on there. I'm not putting it on permanently right now. I'm just kind of setting it there and checking it out and seeing how I feel about the size of it and the shape and how it looks against the mug. And then I'm going to start by pushing in with my thumb, but I'm making sure that I'm supporting it from the inside. So you don't want to just start pushing on your mug, because it's going to end up leaving a huge indent on the inside of your mug. It's going to warp your rim, and that might be something that's cool for you. I personally don't like it on my pot, so I make sure to support the inside. And then I do this a little bit, and then we're going to just kind of fiddle with it. I like to fiddle. I always fiddle a ton with my handles just to make sure that they look good. And then I test it with my own hands to see how it feels when, you know, is it going to be good enough to like hold on my fingers or not? I don't know. And then I use a damp paintbrush just to clean up those edges. So one of the things that's going to get you cracks is if you let slip sit in between those cracks, because the slip will crack because it's going to dry and it just ends up cracking, and that's what happens. So some tips that I have learned to avoid those cracks is clean up with a paintbrush, clean up with a sponge, as I'm doing here. I just make sure that there's no slip sitting there on any part of the mug if I can avoid it. And then this will also get rid of all those fingerprints that I put in for the second or third time. So lots of cleanup after handling mugs, but it's worth it because you'll get a great result at the end. And then we clean up the rim a little bit. And then the most important part to avoiding cracks that I have learned myself is to put it in a damp box. And all a damp box is just plaster at the bottom, and then it's just in a tote, and then I put the lid on and I let all of my handles sit overnight before I take them out and do anything with them. And so here is a finished product. So you guys can see what the handle looks like. This one's got a cute little button on it for a little thumb rest. That's always fun. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll catch you on the next video. Bye.